Hey there, let's use Power Automate today to spread a little holiday cheer. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an API to turn my lights on and off. So we're going to learn about what that looks like. We're going to set up an HTTP trigger so we can turn it on and off by pressing a button on the Streamdeck on my computer. Pretty cool. We're going to look at how to use secure inputs and outputs in your flow, something new that I learned to hide my password, but it's a great way to secure your flows a little bit better. And then we're also going to talk about how to get at our JSON directly instead of always having to use Parse JSON. So yes, we're going to have some holiday fun. No, I'm not going to do the Santa bit the whole time. Ho, ho, ho. No, not going to happen. But we're going to also really try to focus in on learning some more advanced things with flow. And then guys, having some holiday cheer. Sound fun? Then let's switch to my desktop and take a look. Okay, so here's the flow as it sits right now, right? We're going to improve this quite a bit, but this is the baseline flow. And really, I wrote this version of this flow in a video. I'll put a link up there a long time ago. So if you want more explanation of how I did this Casa API with my light switches and my smart plugs, then go check that one out. But we're going to just kind of take this base here and we're going to improve it. That's what we're after in this video. But so basically what it does is we can manually trigger it. It's got my password in it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to get a API token. So with this particular API, I need a token. And so I pass it my username and password, and then it's going to return that token to us. And then we're going to use that all subsequent calls. Okay. We parse that JSON out, right? Good old parse JSON. And then we go down here and we get the list of devices. And so this will take that token from up here and it will get the device list, right? I've got like 10-ish of these devices. So it gets all of them back. We then parse that out. And then we filter it out, and this is how I get to just the one, right? So this parse JSON, the device list returns all 10 devices. And so I said, hey, find the one where the alias is equal to office plug. That's the one here in my office. Shocking, I know. And so that gets what we need. And so then now down here to get device info copy, what we're going to do is we're going to post to this API again, but this time we're going to post for device ID. And then this is a formula to get the device ID from our filter and then pass that token. So this will return all of the information about in this case, the plug. And then we parse that out. And then last but not least, we do this step, which is going to be post to that same device. But this time, if the relay state, which is the on or off, if it was 1, right, I guess I should cover the formula. So if it was 1, then set it to 0. If it was 0, then set it to 1. So if it's on, turn it off. If it's off, turn it on, right? So right now they're on. So the relay state would be 1. If it's 1, it'll set it to 0 and post. So let's give this a go. Make sure that this is working before we make this so much cooler, right? So we'll say save, and then we'll do a test. And since it's manual, right, it doesn't matter. And we're just going to say test. And then just like that, my lights should turn off. They're gone. Perfect. Faster than flow could be done. They were off. Okay. So it does what we think it does. And then obviously if we run it again, it's going to turn it back on. Now let's kind of look through it and see what we can do to improve it. So the first one here, like if I expand password, don't show Shane. Yeah, I'm gonna blur it out, but you can see that the password is there, right? So that's one thing we want to do. We want to secure these inputs. So when we're looking through these logs and these history, we don't see the password, right? Because the password's there. Also, when we expand this one, we're going to see that not only is the password there again, because that's in the inputs of this one, but then we're also going to see when we look at the outputs that, down here we have all this JSON, but in this JSON is my token. And so that token might still be good. So I don't want you to be able to use that and turn my lights on and off. I don't need you people messing with me. So we're going to need to get rid of that as well. Now I think I'm just going to have to blur that one out though, but we'll see. Okay. So that's what we did, right? We got that came back. Then, we parsed it. So that's how we figured out what was inside of it. And then here, we can see that we did a get device list. There's that darn token again. And then down here at the body, we have all of the pieces, right? We have all this information that we don't, all the devices, right? So that's every device I have and all of their settings. Everything that knows about my Casa account is right there. So we parsed that out and then we filtered the data and we said, hey, only find the one where the device name was, the alias was office plug. So it got that back. Now, one of the things here though, is I noticed there's a device ID. I guess you guys have my device ID. I don't care. So we're going to copy that because when we are optimizing this thing, we just know we want to turn the lights on and off, right? We're trying to get this thing down to as little steps as possible. And so grabbing that is going to be part of the key, right? We don't need to do this, get it all the time because device ID doesn't change. And then we parse that. And then finally, this is where, we ran our code against that device ID and we set the relay state to 0, because if we'd looked through this parse JSON, we would have seen the relay state was 1, right? 1 is on, 0 is off. Let's fix this puppy, okay? So what we're gonna do, right, and then we're gonna change the trigger after that, but right now we're just gonna fix this up. So the first thing I wanna do is up here under this password don't show Shane. We're gonna click right here and we'll go to settings. And so this secure inputs, what this is gonna do, we're gonna turn this on and say done. It's not gonna change it here, right? Okay, I gotta blur it out right now because you can see it again. Well, you can't, but you could. But when we do our run, it is going to say, hey, I'm not showing this to anybody. So if we go down here to this one, then we could also do, I believe we can do the same type of thing here because I don't want it to push the outputs where we can see them. So let's try that. We're gonna go here, settings. Now for this particular one, there's actually secure outputs and inputs. So you know what I think we're gonna do? I think we're gonna lock down both of them, right? Because we no longer need to see them and we don't want it to be in the run history anymore, right? So we're gonna lock both of these. And go down here, say done. And so let's do a save and run this and see how that changes what's going on there. All right, we'll do the test. Okay, the lights turn back on. So here you see it says password don't show Shane. So let's expand it this time. Look, we don't see those in the run history, right? Because they're secured. So they're not going to just show on the screen. If we go here and look at this one, we don't see any of this, but we know everything's still working, right? Because the lights turned on. So even though it's all locked out, we're good. If we look at the parse JSON, because it is parsing the JSON from here, it is still hidden. But now if we go down here to get list of device copies, now the token is still there. So we would have to kind of keep iterating through this. So what I think I really want to do now, we won't test it, but we'll do it, is we're going to set the inputs of this one, right? Because that's where my token is. We're going to set all of those to be secured as well. So then that way, hopefully the token stops leaking through, right? So we go here, we'll go to settings, and then we will say secure these outputs. So then that way, oh no, not these outputs. We just want to secure its inputs, right? We don't care about the output. We could secure both, but we just want to secure that one. We'll go here, we'll do settings for this one. Same type of thing. We will secure its inputs and say done. Oh, I didn't say done on this one, did I? Whoops. Go to this one, say done. Okay, so we got secure, and then last but not least, we'll go down here and we'll also secure this input. And now I feel a lot better that hopefully I'm not gonna have to keep blurring out that token every time that it comes across, because it should just always be locked out. Okay, so that was the first thing we want to introduce you guys to, secure inputs and outputs, and how you can use those to, especially if you think about sharing flows with other people, where they're not the editors, but they're the run-only people, and they can see the run results. Like, you could lock all that down so they're not seeing it. Secure inputs and outputs. I just learned about it like a week ago, so cool stuff. Okay, so the second thing I want to do, right, we know that we keep getting this list of devices, but we don't really need those, because at this point I have my device. So we're going to remove all three of these steps. I guess I shouldn't have just fixed it. So what we'll do is we'll just go down here and we're going to say, hey, your device ID, right? X that out. And then we're just going to paste in our key, right? Or not our key, our device ID. So that way, every time it's doing the device ID. Now we can't do that with a token, right? Because our token expires on some type of schedule. I forget what their cadence is. But so we always need the token. So we're not going to hard code it. But now by hard coding device ID, and so we need to hard code it there, and we need to go back down here to this one, and we'll do the same thing, right? We'll get that. We'll make sure our cursor's in the right place, because we know Flow likes to mess with us, and then do this. That should get the device ID. Also, I noticed, like, you might notice I'm using the old interface. So just keep in mind that for these type of flows, when I started doing the secure inputs and outputs, it freaked out the new interface, and I didn't want to deal with it, so I switched back to the old interface, and I didn't do it, right? I still switch back to the old designer anytime the new designer is being a little wonky. Sometimes if I'm being a good boy, I report the problem. Sometimes I don't. I haven't reported this one yet. Shh. Maybe I'll give that gift to the team later. We'll see. Okay. But so now that's all here. So let's go and we should be able to delete this step, this step, this step. So delete, delete, and delete. Now, honestly, would I feel better if I'd saved a copy of this flow first? Probably, but what's being prepared, right? Why bother? If I get messed up, it's all my fault. That's okay. So now we still need the info, so that's good. We still need this. So I feel like this is in good shape. So let's do another test. So we'll say save, and now let's do a test, 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 and hopefully the lights turn off. They did. Awesome. Okay, so we didn't break our flow, but we simplified our flow, right? And if we look, I believe, right, that's all locked down. If we look in here, that's all locked down. We get here. Oh, look, it no longer shows the inputs. So you don't see my token no more. So I don't have to blur that out anymore. And that would be the same down here. So I like it. We've gotten better. The next thing I want to do though, is I want to make this even simpler, right? So, hey, are you enjoying this? I hope you are. Then in being in the holiday spirit, go check out training.powerapps911.com and join one of my training classes. We got on-demand classes, we got live classes, we got a 6-month interactive university program that even includes a personal mentor and special sessions with me. I know, it sounds awesome. So go spend the rest of your holiday budget on some awesome training to make you better in 2025. All right, back to the video. Right now, if we look at Parse JSON, well, we can't because I've blurred it out. But basically, when we do the Parse JSON here, it's looking in there. It's like, all right, I'm going to get back a result object, right? There's result, there's object. And in there is going to be a field called token. And so by using Parse JSON, the beauty of that is then if we, when we add a compose down here, like so, we just right here in dynamic content, we have got token, right? So Parse JSON is what made that possible. We could use that. But if you look at that, look, it's right, hey, I'm really just body parse JSON result token. So it's like, hey, that's how that is gotten. Now, what's interesting though is Power Automate, not Power Apps, I almost said Power Apps, but I didn't, but then I didn't, whatever. Power Automate can read JSON without you parsing JSON. You just don't get the cute little dynamic content. So instead of doing it that way, what we could do, right, we're going to X out. And we're going to say, all right, so we know that this action gets it. So if we go, and what is the dynamic content for that? Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to click in expressions first. I'm going to do this little trick I learned a long time ago. We're just going to put anything here. We're going to put the letter A. Doesn't matter. Go back to dynamic content. We're going to go down here. And so from get token, we had the body, right? That's what Parse JSON was parsing, was that body. So I'm going to grab that body. I'm going to get rid of the fancy A. So the A was just a way to get this in here. Tricky, tricky? I hope so. So that is the entire body, that all the JSON, right? And so what do we know that's in there? We know that there is a result, right? So we're going to do a question mark. That's like how you dig in. You say, hey, give me the body. Let me dig into it. Question mark. Right? In Power Apps, it's often a period. Then we would do a square bracket and then like that. And then we would say result. Oh, now I'm questioning myself if it was result or results. Pretty sure it was results. So let's hope. All right. So question mark result. And then what do we want from result? We wanted the question mark, square bracket, boom, token, right? Which was really the same thing that was written there, except instead of using parse JSON this time, we're using this because we are saying, hey, I understand that JSON. I'm just going to dig through it myself. So if we say here, wait, Control A, Control C, we'll say okay. And then I'm going to go right here and I'm going to add a comment. And I'm just going to, oh, not a comment, Shane. I'm going to add a note. Paste that in, we'll get rid of these comments. So then that way you can see it, right? But we're just saying, hey, go straight after this. I know it's JSON, so dig into that JSON, get the result property, and from the result property, get the token property. And so if we do this and we get back what we're expecting, then we should be able to make our flow better. So let's test it. So we're going to say save, and we'll do another test again. Test, test. Test. All right, the lights turned on. It's a good sign, but we didn't really change any of the light functionality. But look, the lights sort of went on and off because I hit test twice, and we still are just here. All right, so there we go. But if we look at this compose, all right, so it can't show it to me, but I'm pretty sure that it got it, right? So what we now know is that we can skip this whole parse JSON step and this compose step. If we edit this thing, we're going to take this lovely little formula here. So I'm sorry, in my clipboard, I don't need it, right? So we're going to delete this. Delete. Okay. We're going to delete this, right? Once again, should I have made a backup before I started deleting stuff? Probably. But so then now if we go down here, we're going to say, hey, you, where you want this token, put our cursor in there. We're going to scroll it up. We'll say expression. We'll paste that in again. We'll say, okay. So that would be our token. And so now, look, we've gotten rid of a parse JSON as well. Like we just jumped through. And ultimately, we'll go down here. We're going to do the same thing. We got to make sure we put the token back into this one. So expression again, paste, okay. Okay. Now, we could do the same thing for this parse JSON. I'm not going to do it. Why? Why is because it's bigger. And so we would just have to like expand and do. So, but we can absolutely do it, right? I just don't want to get into that JSON. You've seen how you can do it. So now for that one, it would end up being like result and then relay state. And that would be how we'd pull that in. And that would be how we'd get rid of that, right? Because if you look here, you would look at this, right? You'd be like, all right, so state. So if we hover, if equals body parse JSON 1, that's parse JSON above us. There it is, results, response data, system, get info, relay state. So that's the thing, right? We would just take that whole result, blah, 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 and tie it straight to our get device. I should just do it, right? I should be brave. All right, let's do it. So let's click here. So we know that I've got this crazy if formula that already works, but we want to get rid of this whole body parse JSON piece, right? So we're going to delete that. And then right there, make sure your cursor is in the right place. We say dynamic content. And then if we go find from our get device info, our body, yep, that should be it. All right, there you go. I was brave. So, but that's it, right? Because all this is already written for us. Result, response, data, system, get system info, relay state. So in these scenarios, right, it's easier to use parse JSON. Let it find this for you. And then once you have the pattern, steal it, right? So now if we update, and so now once again, we can delete this puppy as well. And so look at that. We have cleaned this thing up quite a bit. You know, I could probably even take the password out, right? Like I'm trying to think about this. Could I take my password? I could, right? So let's get rid of this one too. Right, we're back to cleaning this up. So we'll click on this, or I'll copy my password. Hopefully it's blurred so you don't see it. And we will delete this out. Okay, got rid of that. And so we'll go here. And so then where the cloud password goes, we will just go back to hard coding that in there. And bingo, bango. All right, lights are off. Let's do one more save and test. All right, do a test here, test. And hopefully the lights turn on. Hey, so look at how much easier and simpler that flow is. We're hiding our inputs and we've gotten rid of all those repetitive actions and made it one tight little ball. So in scenarios where you're worried about, you know, speed, performance, number of API calls, right? Like we just used a bunch of advanced skills to make this better. Now, the last thing I want to do, yeah, you know what? I should stop, but I'm going to make one more thing because what I really want, right, is I have this lovely little Streamdeck on my desk. There it is, right? The cord is barely long enough to get in front of the camera. I want to be able to press a button on that Streamdeck and run a flow. So the first thing I want to do is open, I guess we got to go here and change our flow. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit it and we're going to get rid of this manual trigger, right? Because a manual trigger is me pressing a button in flow. I want to press it on the Streamdeck. So we're going to delete this again, right? Like this whole flow, just delete, delete, delete. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look for the HTTP trigger, right? So HTTP. And so there is a request. So when an HTTP request is received, this is premium, but everything we've done thus far is premium, so that doesn't matter to us. But what this does is this says, hey, Flow, I want you to listen to someone to hit you. So Flow generates a API listening point so we can pass JSON to it or nothing to it, and then that'll be what triggers it. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, I want to set, so who can trigger it? Anyone. That's right. So if you crazy animals get your hands on it, you could do it. And for this particular example, I'm going to do the base body is JSON schema of nothing because we don't need to pass anything. We're just saying, hey, run, right? And then you're just going to toggle on or off. But I've done more advanced versions of this where you can create a JSON schema, right? So like if I wanted to pass in an email address, I would basically go here and say, use sample payload. And I would just type in, something like this, email buddy@powerapps911.com and say done. And so then it would write the schema for me. So we don't need a schema to make what we're about to do happen, but it is definitely even a more advanced thing you can do. There's a lot of really cool solutions. I'll tell you what, I put a link up there to one of the coolest things I've done with passing these in. Okay, so that's all we got to do. So now as soon as we hit save, it is going to generate a URL that people can post to. And who's going to, those people? Well, hopefully it's just going to be me. And so there's a URL, I'm going to copy it. So hit this URL and boom, the lights should change. Okay, so then what I need to do is get it to work with my Streamdeck. So we're gonna open up my Streamdeck software, one sec. Okay, so on your Streamdeck, if you have one, what you need to do is you need to go and find, there is a set of actions that you can add here. There's one from Bar Writer called API Ninja. So I think I went to the Elgato Marketplace, and then I searched for Bar Writer and I found the API Ninja, right? And I don't know anything about it. You should check it out. If you don't trust it, blah, blah, blah. Like this is just what worked for me. So I add this in. So let's just go right here. We'll delete this one. So we'll drag this up here. And so then with this, I can be like flow demo. And then it says, okay, what do you want to do? So request type, well, we need to do a post. And if we were to look at our flow over here, right, if we said show advanced options, well, I'm surprised it didn't say it, but it wants a post is what it wants, right? So here, we'll change it to post so it knows. But so I'm going to do a post, right? I'm going to push to it. We're not going to push anything. We're going to push to it. The URL, we are going to just take that URL that we copied a minute ago and post it in there, okay? Content type, we'll set that to application JSON. I don't really think we need to. But you can see that with this action, there's a lot of different stuff. So if I need to send a custom header, I want to send a data, right? So the data would be, as I want to, remember we talked about sending that email address, right? We're not going to send that email address, but we could. Then we would send that JSON here in this data section. What response should it show back on the thing? Nothing. And there's a bunch of other stuff, right? So long story short, this is a way that I found to trigger this API. So then now if we've added that, right? So we got flow demo down there. We'll just go here. Let's see, the lights are off. We'll press the button on my Streamdeck. The lights are off. Woohoo! So kind of cool, right? This HTTP trigger, there's a lot of really neat complex scenarios you can do when you start realizing that you can just have an API endpoint that is flow that you can pass information to and then trigger actions in a flow. You can even respond. And so like in one of the examples I did in my 401 class this week, we responded with a web page back to the user. Kind of cool. Okay. That's enough coolness for today. Hopefully you're feeling the holiday spirit. Ho, 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 right? I didn't do any ho, ho, ho's the whole time, so I get credit. Questions, comments, leave them below. Also, give me a like and a subscribe, right? Like, I really appreciate stuff. Make that your holiday gift to me. And if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. Here at Power Apps 911, yes, I build fun videos, but we build these for thousands of customers all over the world. We build complex solutions using these methods. So not nearly as fun, but these same principles get applied. So we do a lot of consulting and training in this stuff if we can never help you. And with that, I'm going to say thanks and have a great day.